After 2 days exploring Paraguay's capital city, we continued our journey west toward the frontera, with Argentina in our sights. But first,
¿Dónde está la inmigración y aduana por Paraguay?
Tenés que continuar más. Falta todavía, un poquito, faltando el puente.
Atrás.
Sí,
Okay.
de la aduana.
Ok, perfecto. Pero Paraguay.
Paraguay.
Por ese lado.
Sí.
Ok, perfecto. Muchas gracias.
we had to find the border, which turned out to be a bit harder than expected.
¿Dónde quieren ir?
California.
California.
Sí.
¿Pero por dónde van a salir? ¿Argentina o quieren ir por Bolivia?
Sí, Argentina.
Ah, Argentina tenés que ir acá entonces.
But after a bit of backtracking, we found the telltale roadside vendors promising the last chance for cheap gas, and the seemingly endless line of big rigs at San Ignacio de Loyola.
Okay? No.
These truckers, despite being at the front of the queue, were getting the barbecue fired up, which speaks to the speed and efficiency of this particular border crossing.
This is the border right here. Once you cross the river, we're in Argentina, so.
But we've had that before, where it's like we're across the line, but that's like...
Yeah.
But of course, being on a motorcycle has its advantages, one of which being the ability to fast track to the front of the line without fear of repercussion.
Why don't you run in there and get in the immigration line, okay?
Try that in Canada and see how far you get.
All right, so we're officially out of Paraguay and we are stamped into Argentina. We have to get the bike in now. I'm actually a little nervous because this bike's already been in and out of Argentina on the Chilean plate, and I have not yet been on the California plate, at least not since about 2019. So I'm hoping there's not an issue where the VIN number comes up in the system and they're expecting it to have a different license plate, but I guess we'll see. There was a little bit of confusion with the license plate number on the insurance policy, but I think I smoothed it over. Now we just have to let SAG tear the motorcycle apart and look for contraband, giving it a thorough inspection.
But luckily for us, SAG, aka the Agricultural and Livestock Service, who works hand in hand with the AFIP to search for illicit contraband, such as drugs or bootleg Taylor Swift CDs, had little interest in little old us.
They're taking the side panels of the doors off. They're removing speakers. I hope they don't do that to the motorcycle. That's going to be a real pain in the ass.
And sent us down the road with nary a second glance.
Muchas gracias. Buen viaje. Ciao.
And with that, we were officially back in the Argentine Republic, with Ruta 40 and some of the most remote reaches of the Andes Mountains dead in our sights. But first, we would have to traverse the flat and fertile farmlands of the Formosa, Chaco, and Santiago del Estero provinces, and pay homage to Gauchito Antonio Gil.
Gauchito Gil offers his protection,
to whom one must request safe passage to the Badlands of Northern Argentina.
What? Well, the inner pad on my resurfaced brake pads, the inner pad's gone. I just felt it give way.
Is that a good thing?
No, it's not a good thing. It's been a long day.
I know.
So I'm gonna make it longer by torturing you.
Oh wait, look.
What?
After 2 long days in the saddle, we made it to Santiago del Estero and the local Honda dealer.
Probably the most expensive brakes in the history of man. But brakes are brakes, what are you gonna do? It's about $115 US. Yowzers.
Duties on goods imported into Argentina, specifically many automotive parts, can be as high as 35%.
I've got my own private elevator. The motivator. It's a motivator.
But by the time you factor in shipping, overhead, profit, and sales tax, you often end up spending twice as much as you would back in the United States.
All right, time to change the brakes.
Case in point, a pair of Michelin Anarchy Adventure tires on Mercado Libre, shipped to Buenos Aires, set you back an eye-watering $1,400, which is precisely why we did our tire shopping in Paraguay.
This is refurbished versus OEM. I think I'll stick with the OEM.
Freshly motivated, we fought our way out of town and continued our journey west, sure to put our new, expensive brake pads to the test. Ascending the Pampean Range, we bid farewell to the fertile flatlands of eastern Argentina and crossed into Provincia de Catamarca, our gateway to the Andes.
1, 2. All right. Catamarca. It's right. There's the Andes in the background. Back to the Andes, baby. Back to the Andes.
After 3 days crossing the northern provinces of Argentina, we departed Catamarca and descended the Sierra de Velasco into the La Rioja province and its namesake capital.
I think I got a bit spoiled with how easy and accessible everything was in Brazil. I had withdrawn a bunch of Chilean pesos from a bank account we had in Chile, and I still had some of those stashed in the bottom of one of my bags, and my intention had been to exchange those for Argentinian pesos the same way we did in southern Argentina. Well, nobody here wants them. Nobody wants anything to do with the Chilean peso. They only accept Argentinian pesos or American dollars, which we don't have any left. So right now I'm stuck with a bunch of monopoly money that nobody wants, which could prove difficult, especially once we get out into some of the more remote sections up in the mountains. So this is the biggest city that we're going to be in for a while, and I'm going to have to get things sorted here before we take off tomorrow morning. So yeah, we're definitely not in Kansas anymore. Northern Argentina is a different kettle of fish altogether.
And we would spend the next day or so in said kettle of fish, getting ourselves sorted and provisioned.
Not much in there? They even have beer?
That's what I saw.
Oof, that's rough.
For our long-awaited return to the longest continental mountain range in the world, La Cordillera de los Andes,